The foxhole has become an iconic image of 20th century warfare, a lone soldier crouched low in the earth, protected by nothing more than dirt, discipline, and determination. But beyond its battlefield origins, the foxhole represents one of the most practical emergency shelters ever devised. It is simple, low profile, thermally efficient, and incredibly effective when built correctly. Today we're breaking down how to build a modern survival version of a foxhole shelter, inspired by wartime fieldcraft but adapted for practical civilian survival use. This is about concealment, protection from the elements, and energy conservation, not combat, not fantasy. Just fundamentals that have worked for generations. Understanding the purpose before you dig. A foxhole is not a bunker, it's not designed for long-term living. Its purpose is short-term protection from wind, cold, and exposure, and while keeping your profile low. During World War II, soldiers dug foxholes quickly to shield themselves from incoming fire and harsh weather. The same principles apply in a survival context. Reduce exposure, reduce visibility, and use the earth as insulation. Before you ever start digging, assess your situation. Are you avoiding severe weather? Do you need concealment? Is this an overnight shelter or a 48-hour hold position? Your purpose determines your depth and structure. Choose the right ground. Location determines success. Avoid low areas where water collects. A foxhole dug in a depression can become a water trap during rainfall. Look for slightly elevated ground with natural drainage nearby. Check soil composition. Sandy soil collapses easily. Rocky ground drains well but may be difficult to dig. Dense clay holds structure better but can retain water. Ideally, you want firm, compact soil that can hold vertical walls without constant crumbling. Avoid digging directly beneath dead tree limbs or unstable slopes. Wind or erosion can create hazards overnight. Keep it small and efficient. The classic wartime foxhole was often just large enough for 1 or 2 soldiers. The same principle applies today. The smaller the hole, the less energy required to dig, and the easier it is to insulate with your body heat. For a modern survival version, dig long enough to lie down comfortably and deep enough so that when seated, your shoulders are below ground level. Typically, 18 to 24 inches deep can already provide significant wind protection and thermal benefit. Pile removed soil on one side to create a low berm. This adds additional wind blocking and increases concealment. To improve structural stability, it's important to remember that in combat, foxholes were often temporary, but in a survival context, you may need just a bit more reinforcement. So, line the bottom with leaves, pine needles, or dry vegetation for insulation. If you have them, use small branches to brace the sides and reduce the risk of collapse. In wet climates, it really helps to lay down a simple ground sheet or poncho to prevent moisture from soaking upward. Never undercut the walls excessively, and keep the edges slightly sloped inward if the soil is loose. Add overhead protection carefully. One of the biggest weaknesses of a simple foxhole is exposure to rain. A modern adaptation includes a low-profile overhead cover. Stretch a tarp, poncho, or emergency blanket across the top using cordage and nearby anchor points. Keep it low and angled to allow rain runoff. Avoid large elevated profiles that catch wind. In woodland settings, layer natural debris like branches and leaves over the tarp to reduce visibility and improve insulation. Just make sure airflow remains possible to prevent condensation buildup. Focus on drainage. Water management is critical. Even light rainfall can turn a shallow hole into mud. Dig a small trench leading away from your foxhole to redirect runoff. This simple channel can prevent hours of discomfort. In heavy rain environments, consider elevating your sleeping area slightly with sticks or debris beneath your ground layer. Dryness equals warmth. Warmth equals energy conservation. Think about thermal efficiency. The Earth naturally maintains a more stable temperature than open air. By lowering yourself into the ground, you reduce wind exposure and retain body heat more effectively. However, contact with cold soil can sap warmth. Insulation beneath your body is essential. Leaves, dry grass, spare clothing, or even your backpack can create a barrier between you and the ground. Keep movements minimal once inside. The foxhole works best when you allow your body heat to stabilize the small, enclosed space. Concealment through simplicity. One advantage of a foxhole is its low visibility. From a distance, it blends into terrain naturally, avoid stacking soil in unnatural shapes, spread excess dirt thinly and break up straight lines. In modern survival scenarios, subtlety can matter, whether avoiding attention in crowded wilderness areas or simply blending into the landscape. Energy management matters. Digging requires calories and hydration. During World War II, soldiers often rotated digging duties because exhaustion weakened readiness. In survival, you must pace yourself, work in short bursts, hydrate regularly. Stop digging once the shelter meets minimum protection standards. Overbuilding wastes energy. Remember, this is a short-term solution, not a permanent structure. Safety considerations. Never dig deeper than you can exit quickly. Avoid digging near utility lines or restricted land. Be mindful of wildlife habitats. If soil begins collapsing frequently, abandon the location and move to firmer ground. Structural failure in confined spaces is dangerous. Why this old concept still works. The foxhole endures because it uses the most reliable survival tool available, the earth itself. It requires minimal equipment, offers strong wind protection, reduces exposure, and conserves body heat efficiently. Modern survival often focuses on high-tech gear, but the fundamentals haven't changed since the 1940s. Shelter from wind, insulate from ground, control water, stay low, conserve energy. A modern foxhole shelter is not about war reenactment. It's about applying time-tested principles of fieldcraft to short-term emergency survival. If you value practical survival skills grounded in history and proven under real pressure, subscribe to the channel and share this with someone who understands that sometimes the simplest methods are still the most effective. The basics kept men alive in the harshest conditions imaginable, and they still can today.